Everyone. Today we will be starting with a session that is fundamentals of computer applications. What is a computer? We will be talking about what is a computer, what is hardware, what is software, what are the different input devices, output devices. So we will be learning on these topics, right? So let's begin with the session. So we will be going into the detail of basics of computer, who has developed computer, what are the different types of computers we have, and we are all of us are using the different types of computers maybe in some manner, like you may be using your personal computers and in big organizations, or you may say in government organization where data is very much large, so they may be using mainframes or supercomputers. So we will be understanding the different types of computers as well. So let's begin with the session. What is a computer? Now everybody knows about, like whenever you go for any job, now everybody is asking you about, you should be a computer savvy, right? And you should know how to use computer. Earlier we, like in not in every domain it is used, but nowadays everything is on computer. You cannot say like, I don't know computer but I want a job. If for a job you need to follow, you need to pursue any course that basically tells about the basics of computer, right? So I'm going to tell you in detail what is a computer and what are the basic things that we should know. Even we are not tech savvy, we are not computer savvy, we don't know how to use it, but we should know the following terms. We should know how to use it. Basically, what are the different packages? Most of the people are using MS Office. What are the different packages under this? Like you may be using MS Word, you may be using Excel sheets or Excel, you may be using PowerPoints. I have made these PPTs on PowerPoint. So this is how we are basically learning through computer only, right? So let's start with this. What is a computer? Why we need computer? Why computer is required? Why everybody says for a job, for any course you should know computer? Because everything is nowadays, even if you are pursuing commerce subject, or if you are pursuing art subject, you need to make presentations. Now where you are going to make these presentations? On a computer. And on a computer, which type or which tool you are going to use to make your PPTs for your presentations. So you should know the basic things, and we will be learning about the basic packages that are offered by Microsoft, that is of Microsoft Office, or you may say spreadsheets, Excel, or PowerPoint. We may be learning through this. Nowadays most of the people are using Google Apps. So basically, we can use Google Apps. They have their own advantages, whereas when we have these types of packages, they have their own advantages. So one by one, in later series, we will be learning about what are the different types of packages we have and what is the difference between them, how to use them, right? So let's begin with this. So what is a computer? Computer is an electronic device that is designed to work with information. So when we talk about computer, that is again we need to process some information. We need to store some information. We need to process, we need to manipulate some information, right? The term computer is derived from the Latin term that is computer. This means to calculate, right? To compute something, or programmable machine, right? So this is what is a computer. Let's go to the next part. What are the advantages? Why we are saying कि we are going to use computer? Why we say this thing? There are certain characteristics, there are certain features of computer, there are certain advantages of using that, right? Computer is an electronic device. Yes, everybody knows we can use this computer. It is an electronic device. It is charged. it is going to be charged. It works on electricity, yes, right? It can store large amount of data. Whenever you are working, you went some on some marriage and you have clicked some picture. Now you need to save those images of that marriage on your system. So you have to have some amount of memory also, some amount of data also. So data is always there, information is always there. So where to save this information? That is on computer itself, right? Then we have is can perform operations on data. I told you about this thing. Like if you want to manipulate on data, if you want to manipulate on information, you need to have something through which you are going to doing so, right? Performing a given function on the data, display the results as an output. Like if we have any data, right? If we are performing anything on a data, we should actually, what we are going to do is we want some output that should come out from that, right? What are the result? It should display, it should show some results, right? Process data whenever needed. Yeah. So whenever we have some information, now we need to process the information and we need to have some data behind that. We need to basically we are what we are doing. We are maintaining the data itself. That is why computer is required, na? If there is no data, why to have computers? So you need to store something, right? Otherwise, there is no need of computers. Okay. Yeah, it is known to compute. It is known to compute, it is known to calculate, it is known to programmable machine. It is like there are several names, there are several advantages of computer, right? Now let us move to the history of computers. Like everybody knows about computer, but they don't know what is the history of computer, right? Let us start with this. Let us begin with this part. First, in 1945, between 1945 to 1955, vacuum tubes were used. We don't have such kind of processing systems, right? We have what? Vacuum tubes. And they were very large, like we will be seeing in the later slides how mainframe systems are maintained, how supercomputers are maintained. They are basically it needs a large space also, right? But whenever we are using vacuum tubes, it is basically generate immense heat, right? And of course they were very expensive. Then after this vacuum tubes, transistors came into picture. That is the second generation of computers. That is in between 1955 to 1965 when we were using transistors. And also obviously it is storing for large amount of data set. It is basically they were very large. So they need some space, right? And again they were expensive. Then in the third generation, that is between 1965 to 1975, they were replaced by ICs. So what are ICs? Integrated circuits. So which basically reduces, you may say, the storage size of that particular system. So now we don't need a large space to store those systems. There is a reduction in size and cost also. And in the fourth generation, that is in between 1975 to 1995, there is an introduction of VLSI. What is that? Very large scale integration. And all of us are using desktop computers. Most of the people, we have such kind of computers which are basically nowadays, though the computers are very much handy. Like handy in the sense, like we don't have such big bodies behind that screen. It's a flat screen and there is nothing behind that. But earlier we used to have larger bodies than this, right? Then in the current situation, we are basically moving towards the we are using the technology, that is AI and robotics also. So we are in this particular phase, right? What are the characteristics of computer? What are the advantages of computer? Why it is needed? What are the qualities that a computer should like? Why we have understood like why it is required? From the definition, it is very much clear why it is required. Now let's see some of the advantages, some of the characteristics. Like the first characteristic is speed. The second characteristic is it can perform arithmetical and logical operations. And of course, it is going to give accurate results. The results that you may rely upon. And of course, it is meant for storage also. Everything is storage. Like if I told you, if you want to click the pictures and you want to save it somewhere, you need some computer, you need some space, right? And you may say nowadays mobile phone is used as your mini computer. It has everything. Now technology has come. Even in your albums, the folders are segregated, right? And the next advantage would be, the next characteristic is retrieving data and program. It retrieves the data whenever, like, I was searching for photos on my mobile, and I was searching for like last 10, I think 2010 pictures I can find out. So data can be retrieved from the system as well. Automation, yes, you don't have to perform the repetitive task again and again. They are automated systems. Yes, it is versatile. It is very much flexible. You may use it, right? And it maintains the consistency. Obviously, when it is maintaining the consistency, we are going to have the accurate results. And these are, you may say, these are some characteristics, or these are some advantages or some features of computer that most of the people while using should know. What is the use, what are the basic characteristics of computer? Now let's move to the next part. Very very important. Everybody should know. No, I like, I would say some people are, even in today's life, they are not comfortable with computers, in using the computers. They would say rather, okay, I am going to write it manually, but how to type it on computer? It's very easy, and it's very demanding nowadays. Like, everybody should know what is computer, what are the input devices, what are the output devices. This you should know when you have devices, right? Let us move to the first part, that is input devices. What are input devices? In the first input devices, I would say the first input device is mouse. Everyone is nowadays is using this mouse to handle the information, because it is more compatible. Like when you are accessing the computer, rather than surfing, like using your fingers on this laptop or something, on the phone also. But when we use laptops, we may use wireless or wireline mouse, right? Next is keyboard. Keyboard, if you should know, keyboard is an input device which basically takes the input, and then the input is given through the keyboard, and the computer process it and gives you the output. Then we have webcam. Like my picture is captured through this webcam that is installed in this laptop, right? Then we have touchscreen. You may be knowing about touchscreen through, like, you have some screen that through which, like, it is working like your phone only, right? So we have touchscreen also. Then we have joysticks. Again, it is an input device. Microphone, you are feeding your voice, like the voice is recorded through a microphone. Optical pen is also, there are not only these are the input devices, there are number of input devices through which you can feed the data, you can give the input to the system. Now, once you have given the input to the system, the next task is to get the output. I have given the input to the system. Now, how will I get the output? So, for this purpose, again some output devices are there for for displaying the output. What are those devices? Let's see. Monitor. Most of you know what is the use of monitor. It gives you an output on the screen. Speakers, right? Like speakers are obviously it is giving you the sound. Then printers, you are giving any command to the printer and it is going to print a page, right? Then projector, you are giving any presentation using basically you want to cover a large number of audience. So maybe you are in an auditorium, you may be using projectors for that, right? Again, it is going to display the content on the screen. Then headset, this is again, and plotters, these are again some of the output devices. So when what we have learned till now, we have learned about what is computer, right? What is a computer? Computer is an electronic device to store the information. The second thing we have learned about the different generations of computer. The third thing we are talking about what are the input and what are output devices. Let's move to the next part. Now we will be talking about softwares and hardwares. Right? What is a software? What do you mean by software? So software is a series of instructions that are saved in a program and you are going to use that software. Suppose I am going to use some packages like application softwares, or maybe I may be using some system softwares. Let us discuss upon that. What are system softwares? So all of our whenever we are using computer, we should know there are two classes of softwares. The first class that talks about system software, the second class talks about application software. So first of all, I will be covering the system softwares. Run fundamental operations. It is not meant for you. It is for maintaining the system. The name itself suggests the working of the software. System software. So it is meant for maintaining the maintenance of the system. Suppose I am using PC for maintaining the PC. Suppose I am using laptop for maintaining the laptop. For example, I would be giving you some of the operating systems. All of us are using computer system. We should know this is what this is. We are using some operating system, that is a system software. If I am going to use some utility softwares like antivirus, that would be falling in this category only, right? So we should know system softwares are used for maintaining the system. Loading and running the program, saving and retrieving the data, communicating with printers, the background details, the background, I would say the background music of the computer is system software, right? And the front end of the front end part of the computer is the application software. So let me give you some examples of system softwares, that is DOS, Windows. These all are operating systems, right? And these operating system, apart from these operating system, we may have other utility software as well. What are those? They are suppose antivirus packages. They are also a part of system softwares, right? Now the second class of softwares is application softwares, right? Now what are application softwares? Basically the application softwares help you to accomplish a certain task. Suppose I want to present something. I am presenting in this session. I may be using some package. I may be using some application. What is that application? That is that application software. I am using PowerPoint. If I am going to use some Word file, if I am going to use some PDF file, I am going to use that software. So application, the task which you are going to perform, right, that can be accomplished by a software, that is application software. Let us move to some examples. Word processing, memos, report generation, documentation, generating financial sheets, all are coming under, or maintaining any details, Everything is coming under word processing. Then we have spreadsheets. What are spreadsheets? Spreadsheets are basically when you are maintaining any budgets, or when you are maintaining any timetable, I would say, etc. These are all coming under Excel sheet. Databases. Yes, databases. You need to maintain some database through which you can perform the various operations like search, sort, select data, etc. Right? So databases are also performed in any application. Educational uh, example is educational for practice purpose. Like suppose I am going to download Byju's. This is one of the application software, right? I'm going to download Byju's for my education, right? So, or extra marks, or you may take any software. Vedanta, you may download it, right? So, what is this? This is application software, right? Then there are some graphic. Today, graphics words is not used. Apart from that, what we use is data visualizations, right? But I want to make you understand, like data visualizations are actual graphics only, right? We can plot different charts, we can plot different graphs, we can plot different diagrams. There are a number of diagrams tools also, that is graphics using data visualization. Then we have is desktop publishing, right? Desktop publishing is like suppose I want to generate any hoarding type of things or pamphlets or brochures. I may be using some software. Now, what is that software? That would be treated as an application. So, according to my purpose, according to my task, I'm going to select the application software and I'm going to use that particular software, right? So there are two categories of software. First is system softwares and the second is application software. So everybody should know this thing while using, like everybody knows we are using this operating system. Now some of you may confuse what is operating system, or some of you may confuse what is word, those who are not accessing the word files or those who are not accessing the spreadsheet. So you should know, like there are number of application softwares that are required, and you should know, and they are very much easy. They are not any, this is not any difficult task to know about anything. This is very easy task to use this, right? Then let us talk about the hardware. We have talked about what are packages, how the softwares are there, how what are the types of software we have. Let us talk some of the things that is about hardware. First of all, you should know who is the father of computer. So Charles Babbage is the father of computer. Then we have again generation of that, like first hardware is generated by this. Then second we have NEX system that was developed at the end of World War II. Then after that we have first and second generation computers. We have talked about vacuum tubes, we have talked about, then later on we have talked about transistors, we have talked about VLSIs, we have talked about ICs, and today we are going to use some other processing systems for processing the data, right? Like we may be using uh, any type of processing system, right? So we should know what is the history of computers. Let's talk about some of the hardware, some of the systems, some of the types of computers. Everybody is using these types of computers, but they may not be referring to the name of that, right? The first, that is desktop or personal computers. They also called microcomputers. Available in desktop size, notebook size, and handheld. You may handheld also. Can be IBM, can be IBM compatible, can be HP, can be Apple, can be of any brand, right? And it is, you may have some handy part, like suppose I am going to use a desktop at my home, right? So what is the category of that? That is PC only. That is my personal computer. That is not some organization computer where there are number of machines are required, where some large amount of memory is required. No. because it may be like for this PC I'm going to use for my general purpose, or my family is using for some general purpose or some official purpose also, right? So then you have some personal computer, it is your personal, right? Let me move to some mainframe computers. You may say find in the pictures, they how they are stored, they are occupying such a large space, right? And of course they are very fast also, they are very powerful also. What are these? They are mainframe computers. They are very, very powerful, right? They are basically used by large and governmental agencies, right? Operated by computer specialists or computer scientists, many of the people are using, right? And to overcome this, like very powerful is okay, but how to have more than this? What is that? Like this is, you have first of all microcomputer, you may have mini computers also later, then after this we have mainframes. Now what about the next part? The next part is supercomputers, right? The supercomputers are most powerful systems. Yes, they are most powerful system, and among the all the types of computers, it is the fastest one. Speeds, it calculates it does the calculation is within not seconds, it is very, very minute, it takes very less time to compute the results. Yes, of course it is most costliest one also, it is most expensive cost, and several million dollars each is required, like it the cost is also high, they are very expensive, and we cannot use it like such a big computer, I cannot store it, I cannot have it at home. What to do with such kind of thing? It may be useful for large organization, when we have big organization, when we have governmental organizations, government agencies, which is going to maintain a large, like suppose I am going to store the data set of voter ID cards. Now it is not meant for my family, right? It is meant for the whole country. Now how to store such kind of data? This is I am going to give you an example, just an example. Now for storing a large number of data, so I may be requiring some large amount of memory, right? And for maintaining, and it is must voter, for maintaining, you may say maintaining the voter ID card number, or you may say Aadhaar card number. Nowadays everybody has Aadhaar card, without that you cannot work. You are not, even if you go for employment, they are going to ask you about your Aadhaar card, where this data is maintained, where this data is stored. There's some systems are there, right? Or you may say this is only not supercomputers are used for that purpose. They may be mainframe computers, they may be other computers also which has some large memory, or you may say some systems are there which has some such capacity to store the data. But these applications are performing basically whenever you have to perform any task that is related to spacecraft, or you may say your airline, your aircraft information, or there is any defense type of applications are also using such kind of systems, where we need to access the results that are very much accurate. There is no precision value that is left behind. We need to have a 0.1% failure rate. 99.9% is the what is the actual relevant result should be there. Accurate result should be there. There should not be a single amount, single point to be like in loss, and it is going to be have a loss for the country, so we will be using such kind of computers, right? So we, what we have learned till now, we have talked about softwares, the types of softwares, that is system softwares and application softwares. Then later slides we have learned about hardwares, input devices and output devices we have seen, and then we have talked about what are the types of computers. In types of computers we have learned about what are PCs, personal computers, mainframe computers, and supercomputers. So there are number of types of computers. In later series, we will be learning about what are the functional units of computers, how they are related to each other, what is operating system, what is registers, what are the types of registers we have, how the information is stored in registers. So in later series we will be learning about these topics, right? So thank you, we will be meeting soon.